So the bond duration is a measure of how long on average the holder of the bond has to wait before receiving cash payments. So if we think about n year zero coupon bond, the duration will be n years because there is no coupon payments before n years. And let's now denote that our bond price is B, and remember that if we discount all the cash flow represented by these CIs with respect to the discount factor Y, which is the yield to maturity for this bond, the present value on the right hand side will equal to the price of this bond by the definition of the yield. So here in the definition of duration, we are using these discounted cash payments. So each of these terms are the discounted payments you will receive at different times. And if you divide this by the price of the bond, in other words, here what you look at is the proportion of the cash you receive with respect to the total price of this bond. And these are considered as the weights. And actually you are taking the weighted average of the payment times, and we are calling this as the duration of this bond. So now we can actually approximate the change in the value of the bond using the change in the value, change in the yields, right? So notice that this B is given by these discounted cash flows from 1 to m. Suppose we have these m number of cash flows, and if you actually differentiate this with respect to y, what you get here is ci times this ti e to the power yti. Okay, again from 1 to m. So this is what we get here for the derivative term, and we multiply this by the change in the yield. So you can notice that from our previous definition here, this is exactly how we come up the term here, and this can be represented. So if you divide both sides by b, what this is now the duration. So you can write this as minus duration times the change in the yield. In other words, the left hand side we have the relative change in the value of the bond represented in terms of the duration times the change in the yield of the bond. So very quickly, if this y is represented with annual compounding frequency of m, then we can update our duration formula using this so-called modified duration formula. So the update is basically you still calculate the duration as usual, but since your yield is represented with annual compounding frequency of m rather than the continuous compounding we use, then you need to divide your duration with this 1 plus y over m, and still the similar relationship holds between the change in the value of the bond versus the change in the yield.